Thursday, July 9th, 2026. Today's World News Headline Summary. 1. CNN. 1-1. Trump says Iran ceasefire is over. U.S. to hit them hard tonight. U.S. President Donald Trump has officially declared that the ceasefire with Iran is over during the NATO summit in Ankara, Turkey. The announcement follows a rapid escalation of hostilities, during which the U.S. military launched retaliatory strikes against more than 80 targets in Iran. These strikes were executed in response to Iranian attacks on commercial vessels navigating near the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. In retaliation, Iran fired numerous missiles and drones at U.S. military installations situated in Bahrain and Kuwait, vowing a crushing response. President Trump stated explicitly, "We're going to hit them hard tonight," raising significant concerns about the potential outbreak of a full-scale regional conflict. However, analysts suggest both nations still aim to avoid an all-out war due to domestic pressures. Vocabulary. Declare. Verb. 선언하다, 발표하다. The president will declare a state of emergency soon. Ceasefire. Noun. 휴전, 정전. The two nations finally agreed to a temporary ceasefire. Escalation. Noun. 단계적 확대, 악화. We must prevent any further escalation of the conflict. Retaliatory. Adjective. 보복적인, 안갚음에. The military launched retaliatory strikes against the enemy base. Execute. Verb. 실행하다, 집행하다. The soldiers were ordered to execute the rescue mission. Vital. Adjective. 필수적인, 생명과 관련된. The strait is a vital route for global oil transportation. Installation. Noun. 군사시설, 설치. The drone strike targeted a critical military installation. Explicit. Adjective. 명백한, 뚜렷한. She gave explicit instructions on how to handle the machine. Potential. Adjective. 잠재적인, 가능성 있는. We need to evaluate the potential risks of this investment. 시사용어 해설. Ceasefire. 휴전. 전쟁이나 무력 충돌을 임시로 중단하기로 양측이 합의하는 것을 뜻합니다. 언제든 충돌이 재개될 수 있는 불안정한 상태를 의미합니다. Strait of Hormuz. 호르무즈 해협. 중동의 산유국들이 원유를 수출할 때 반드시 지나야 하는 바닷길로 세계 경제와 안보의 핵심 요충지입니다.
1-2. Plattner drops Senate bid following rape allegation. Graham Plattner's scandal-ridden campaign for the Senate in Maine has come to a screeching halt following severe allegations of sexual assault. The Democratic candidate announced his decision to drop his bid after nearly all of his political allies quickly withdrew their support. The situation worsened when a second woman, who previously dated Plattner, came forward to publicly describe his violent and aggressive behavior. This mounting pressure left Plattner with no viable path forward in the election. Consequently, Maine Democrats are now scrambling and working diligently on a contingency plan to find a suitable replacement for the Senate race. The sudden withdrawal underscores the strict accountability expected from public figures in modern political landscapes. Vocabulary. Allegation. Noun. 증거 없는 혐의, 주장. He fiercely denied the false allegation of theft. Withdraw. Verb. 철회하다, 물러나다. The sponsor decided to withdraw funding from the project. Aggressive. Adjective. 공격적인. The dog showed aggressive behavior toward strangers. Viable. Adjective. 실행 가능한, 성공할 수 있는. We need to find a commercially viable solution to this problem.
Consequently. Adverb. 그 결과. 따라서. He failed the exam and, consequently, could not graduate. Scramble. Verb. 허둥지둥 해내다. 서둘러 하다. The team had to scramble to finish the presentation on time. Diligently. Adverb. 부지런히. 열심히. She worked diligently to achieve her academic goals. Contingency. Noun. 만일의 사태, 비상대책. We must have a contingency plan in case the power fails. Underscore. Verb. 강조하다. 분명히 보여주다. The recent accident underscores the need for better safety rules. Accountability. Noun. 책임, 의무. Transparency and accountability are essential for good governance. Senate bid. 상원의원 출마. 미국 의회의 상원, Senate, 의원이 되기 위해 선거에 출마, bid, 하는 것을 의미합니다. Contingency plan. 비상계획. 예상치 못한 위기나 돌발 상황이 발생했을 때 이를 해결하기 위해 미리 준비해두는 플랜 B입니다.
1-3. Crews race to stabilize New York City high-rise. Emergency crews in New York City are racing against time to stabilize a commercial high-rise building after structural engineers discovered buckled columns. Authorities raised immediate concerns that the compromised structural integrity could potentially lead to a catastrophic collapse in the densely populated area. Workers have been deployed around the clock, installing temporary shoring and adding new heavy-duty steel supports to bear the immense load of the tower. City officials cordoned off the surrounding streets, prioritizing the safety of nearby residents and pedestrians during the delicate operation. The rapid response aims to reinforce the building's foundation before any further displacement occurs. Investigations are currently underway to determine the root cause of the structural failure. Vocabulary. Stabilize. Verb. 안정시키다. The doctors worked hard to stabilize the patient's condition. Buckle. Verb. 찌그러지다. 휘어지다. The immense heat caused the metal beams to buckle. Compromised. Adjective. 손상된. 위태롭게 된. The security system was compromised by the hackers. Integrity. Noun. 완전성. 온전함. We must preserve the structural integrity of the bridge. Densely. Adverb. 밀집하여. 빽빽하게. The virus spread quickly in the densely populated city. Deploy. Verb. 인력 장비를 배치하다. The general decided to deploy more troops to the border. Reinforce. Verb. 강화하다. 보강하다. The builder used extra steel to reinforce the walls. Displacement. Noun. 이동. 변형. 변위. The earthquake caused a noticeable displacement of the ground. 시사용어 해설.
쇼링. 동발이나 지지대 설치. 붕괴 위험이 있는 건축물이나 굴착면에 하중을 분산시키고 지탱하기 위해 임시로 세우는 구조물이나 기둥을 뜻하는 건설 용어입니다. 2. BBC 2-1. Prince Harry loses High Court privacy case against Daily Mail publisher. Prince Harry and 6 other prominent figures have lost their High Court privacy lawsuit against Associated Newspapers Limited, ANL, the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday. The claimants alleged that the newspaper group utilized unlawful information gathering methods, such as phone hacking and bugging, over several years. However, Mr. Justice Nicklin dismissed the claims, concluding that the claimants failed to provide sufficient evidence that their information was obtained unlawfully. The judge emphasized that suspicion, even where understandable, cannot substitute for concrete legal proof. While Prince Harry and his co-claimants condemned the ruling as a whitewash, the publisher celebrated it as a magnificent vindication of their legitimate journalism. Vocabulary. Prominent. Adjective. 저명한, 유명한. He is a prominent figure in the technology industry. Lawsuit. Noun. 소송. The company is facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Allege. Verb. 증거 없이 혐의를 제기하다. The prosecutors allege that he stole the confidential files. Unlawful. Adjective. 불법적인. Unauthorized access to the server is considered unlawful. Dismiss. Verb. 소송을 기각하다. The judge will dismiss the case if there is no evidence. Substitute. Verb. 대신하다, 대체하다. You can substitute honey for sugar in this recipe. Concrete. Adjective. 구체적인, 확실한. We need concrete evidence before making an accusation. Condemn. Verb. 비난하다, 규탄하다. The international community was quick to condemn the attack. Whitewash. Noun. 눈가림, 진실은폐.
The official report was criticized as a complete whitewash. Vindication. Noun. 무죄 입증, 옹호. Winning the award was a vindication of her hard work. 시사 용어 해설. High Court. 영국 고등법원. 영국의 민사사건 중 금액이 크거나 복잡한 사안, 명예훼손, 사생활 침해 등을 1심으로 다루는 비중 있는 법원입니다. Whitewash. 눈가림, 은폐. 본래 하얀 페인트를 칠한다는 뜻에서 유래하여 불쾌한 진실이나 잘못을 숨기고 겉만 깨끗하게 보이게 포장하는 행위를 비판할 때 쓰는 단어입니다. 2. Elton John and others face £50 million legal bill after losing phone hacking case. Prince Harry, Sir Elton John, and several other high-profile figures are now facing a colossal legal bill estimated at up to £50 million after losing their privacy case against Associated Newspapers Limited, ANL. The claimants had launched the multi-million-pound lawsuit alleging habitual and widespread illegal information gathering, including hiring private investigators to bug homes and cars. Following the High Court's emphatic dismissal of all 97 allegations due to a lack of credible evidence, the financial burden falls squarely on the losing parties. ANL announced that it intends to fiercely try to recover its mammoth legal costs from the claimants. This stunning outcome represents the catastrophic unraveling of what was once considered a final reckoning for the British tabloid press. Vocabulary. Colossal. Adjective. 거대한, 엄청난. Building the pyramids was a colossal undertaking. Estimate. Verb/noun. 추산하다, 견적. The mechanic gave me an estimate for the car repairs. Habitual. Adjective. 상습적인, 습관적인. His habitual lateness became a problem at work. Widespread. Adjective. 광범위한. The internet has led to the widespread sharing of information. Emphatic. Adjective. 단호한, 강조하는. The team secured an emphatic victory in the final match. Credible. Adjective. 믿을 수 있는, 신빙성 있는. The jury needed credible evidence to convict the suspect. Squarely. Adverb. 정면으로, 곧바로. The responsibility for the error rests squarely on the manager. Mammoth. Adjective. 거대한, 메모드급의. Restoring the ancient castle is a mammoth task. Unraveling. Noun. 붕괴, 실마리가 풀림. The lie eventually led to the complete unraveling of his career. Reckoning. Noun. 심판, 계산. The corrupt politicians will eventually face a day of reckoning. Legal bill. 소송 비용, 법률 비용. 변호사 수임료, 법원 수수료, 증인 출석비 등 재판을 진행하는 데 드는 모든 비용을 말합니다. 패소한 쪽이 승소한 쪽의 비용까지 부담하는 경우가 많아 부담이 큽니다. Tabloid press. 파브로이드 언론. 작고 다루기 쉬운 신문 판형에서 유래된 말로 주로 연예인 스캔들, 범죄, 흥미 위주의 기사를 자극적으로 다루는 대중신문을 뜻합니다. 2-3. Right-wing leader Nigel Farage steps down as MP amid financial investigation. Right-wing political figure Nigel Farage has abruptly stepped down as a Member of Parliament, MP, amidst a mounting and highly publicized financial investigation. British regulatory authorities have been rigorously scrutinizing his campaign finances and the opaque origins of certain political donations. Although Farage has vehemently denied any wrongdoing and labeled the probe a politically motivated witch hunt, the intense media scrutiny made his parliamentary position untenable. His sudden resignation leaves a significant leadership vacuum within the UK's populist right-wing movement, which heavily relied on his charismatic and controversial profile. Political analysts anticipate that this scandal could drastically reshape the dynamics of upcoming regional elections in Britain. Vocabulary. Abruptly. Adverb. 갑자기, 돌연히. The car stopped abruptly in the middle of the road. Mounting. Adjective. 커져가는, 증가하는. There is mounting pressure on the CEO to resign. Scrutinize. Verb. 세밀히 조사하다. The auditor will scrutinize the company's financial records. Opaque. Adjective. 불투명한. The rules of the competition remain somewhat opaque to the participants. Vehemently. Adverb. 격렬하게, 강력히. He vehemently protested against the unfair decision. Untenable. Adjective. 방어할 수 없는, 유지할 수 없는. His position became untenable after the scandal broke out. Vacuum. Noun. 공백, 진공.
The dictator's sudden death created a massive power vacuum. Charismatic. Adjective. 카리스마 있는. The team is led by a very charismatic young manager. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은. The author wrote a highly controversial book on modern religion. 시사 용어 해설. Member of Parliament. MP. 영국의 하원의원을 뜻합니다. 영국 정치의 실질적인 입법과 행정 견제를 담당하는 선출직 의원입니다. Populist. 포퓰리즘의 대중영합주의자. 대중의 불만이나 정서에 호소하여 지지를 얻으려는 정치 스타일을 말합니다. 엘리트나 기득권을 비판하며 일반 국민의 편임을 강조하는 특징이 있습니다.
3. ABC Australia. 3-1. Telstra national outage knocks out mobile and data services for thousands of customers. A massive nationwide telecommunications outage on the Telstra network plunged parts of Australia into chaos, severely disrupting mobile and data services for thousands of customers. The blackout completely halted regional rail networks, paralyzed electronic payment systems, and critically impaired access to the nation's 000 emergency hotline. Authorities reported that police conducted over 300 welfare checks for individuals whose emergency calls failed to connect. Telstra executives apologized for the massive disruption, clarifying that a software defect affecting a timekeeping GPS node caused the crash, explicitly ruling out a cyber attack. The Australian Communications and Media Authority, ACMA, is heavily scrutinizing the incident, highlighting the fragile nature of critical digital infrastructure. Vocabulary. Outage. Noun. Mobby. 정전. A power outage left the entire building in darkness. Plunge. Verb. 상태에 빠뜨리다. The sudden news plunged the stock market into chaos. Halt. Verb. 멈추다. 중단시키다. The factory halted production due to a shortage of materials. Paralyze. Verb. 마비시키다. The massive snowstorm paralyzed traffic across the state. Impair. Verb. 손상시키다, 약화시키다. Drinking alcohol can seriously impair your ability to drive. Welfare. Noun. 안전, 복지. The local council is responsible for the welfare of the elderly. Explicitly. Adverb. 명백하게. I explicitly told them not to touch the equipment. Fragile. Adjective. 취약한, 부서지기 쉬우. The global supply chain proved to be quite fragile during the pandemic. 시사용어 해설. 000, K베이, 112, 119와 같은 호주의 국가통합 긴급 구조 전화번호입니다. Node, IT 용어. 컴퓨터 네트워크에서 데이터를 전송, 수신 또는 전달하는 연결 지점이나 장치를 뜻합니다. 3-2. Australia, Fiji sign Ocean of Peace Alliance Security Pact. Australia has embarked on a strategic security pact signing spree in the Pacific, most notably ratifying the Ocean of Peace Alliance with Fiji. This mutual defense pact is structured around joint cooperation, security consultations, and collective responses to emerging regional threats, clearly aimed at counterbalancing China's expanding influence in the region. Just a week earlier, Australia secured a similar agreement with Vanuatu, designed to prevent the militarization of its critical port infrastructure by any third-party nation. Diplomatic analysts note that Canberra is aggressively expanding its security footprint to keep Pacific Island nations aligned with Western interests. However, critics argue that these security pacts could be perceived as hypocritical without substantial and tangible economic investments to support the developing island nations. Vocabulary. Ratify. Verb. 비준하다. 승인하다. The parliament voted to ratify the new climate treaty. Mutual. Adjective. 상호간에. 공동에. The two countries signed a mutual defense agreement. Collective. Adjective. 집단적인. 공동에. Solving global warming requires a collective effort. Counterbalance. Verb. 견제하다. 균형을 맞추다. The new regulations are meant to counterbalance corporate power. Militarization. Noun. 군사화. The militarization of the island raised concerns in the region. Align. Verb. 나란히 하다. 동조하다. The company needs to align its goals with customer expectations. Hypocritical. Adjective. 위선적인. It is hypocritical to preach about the environment while driving a gas guzzler. Tangible. Adjective. 실질적인. 만질 수 있는. We need tangible evidence, not just rumors, to proceed.
시사유호 해설, Mutual Defense Pact, 상호방위조약. 조약을 맺은 두 나라 중 한 나라가 제3국으로부터 군사적 공격을 받을 경우 다른 나라가 이를 자국에 대한 공격으로 간주하고 군사적으로 돕기로 약속하는 조약입니다. 캔버라, 호주의 수도입니다. 외교나 정치 뉴스에서는 수도 이름을 국가 정부를 대변하는 단어로 흔히 사용합니다. 이에 워싱턴, 미국 정부, 서울, 한국 정부.
Number 3. BHP shows off its shiny electric truck and spins its green credentials. Global mining giant BHP has publicly unveiled its massive, brand new electric haul truck, aggressively promoting its commitment to reducing carbon emissions. The company utilized the launch event to spin its green credentials, aiming to improve its corporate image among increasingly environmentally conscious investors and the public. By transitioning away from traditional diesel-powered machinery, BHP hopes to demonstrate tangible progress toward its net zero emission targets. However, environmental watchdogs and media critics remain deeply skeptical of the announcement. They argue that showcasing a few shiny electric vehicles is a textbook example of greenwashing, designed to distract from the inherently destructive nature of large-scale mining operations and the company's broader ecological footprint. Vocabulary. Unveil. Verb. 공개하다, 발표하다. The tech company will unveil its latest smartphone next week. Credential. Noun. 자격, 실적. She has excellent academic credentials for the teaching position. Transition. Verb. 전환하다, 넘어가다. The world must transition to renewable energy sources. Tangible. Adjective. 실질적인, 명백한. The charity has made a tangible difference in the community. Watchdog. Noun. 감시단체, 감시인. The consumer watchdog organization exposed the fraudulent products. Skeptical. Adjective. 회의적인, 의심하는. The public remains highly skeptical of the politicians' promises. Inherently. Adverb. 본질적으로. Skydiving is an inherently dangerous sport. Destructive. Adjective. 파괴적인. The destructive power of the tornado wiped out. 4. The Korea Times. 4.1. Korea, NATO agree to open procurement talks for $9.9 billion defense market. South Korea and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, have officially agreed to open negotiations on a basic procurement agreement, unlocking new opportunities for the Asian nation's defense industry. The agreement was reached during a bilateral meeting between President Lee Jae-min and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the NATO summit in Ankara. If concluded, this institutional framework will grant Korean defense contractors direct access to NATO's joint procurement market, which is estimated at a staggering $9.9 billion annually. President Lee emphasized the need for a Korea-NATO Defense Industry Partnership 2.0, urging collaboration that transcends simple weapons transactions. He proposed expanding joint research into cutting-edge military technologies and harmonizing defense standards to ensure deep interoperability. Vocabulary. Procurement. Noun. 조달, 확보. The military updated its guidelines for equipment procurement. Unlock. Verb. 기회등을 열다, 풀다. Learning a new language can unlock many career opportunities. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자 간의, 쌍방의. The two nations signed a new bilateral trade agreement. Institutional. Adjective. 제도적인, 기관의. Institutional reforms are necessary to prevent corruption. Contractor. Noun. 계약자, 도급업체. The defense contractor is building a new fighter jet. Transcend. Verb. 초월하다, 뛰어넘다. Music is a universal language that transcends cultural boundaries. Cutting edge. Adjective. 최첨단의. The laboratory is equipped with cutting-edge medical technology. Harmonize. Verb. 조화시키다, 일치시키다. The new law aims to harmonize regulations across the region. Interoperability. Noun. 상호 운용성. Improved interoperability allows different systems to work together smoothly. 시사용어 해설. Procurement agreement. 조달 협정.
국가나 국제기구가 필요한 물품을 외부에서 사들일 때 특정 국가의 기업들이 그 입찰에 공정하게 참여할 수 있도록 자격을 부여하고 규정을 맞추는 국가 간 약속입니다. interoperability, 상호 운용성. 다른 나라에서 만든 무기나 통신 장비라도 전쟁 시 서로 연결되어 완벽하게 작동할 수 있는 호환 능력을 말합니다. 나토 무기 수출의 필수 조건입니다.
4-2. Hanwha Ocean defeated by Germany's TKMS in Canada's submarine deal. South Korea's Hanwha Ocean has suffered a significant setback after being defeated by Germany's TKMS in the highly lucrative bidding war for Canada's naval submarine project. Although Korean defense products are globally renowned for their exceptional technological quality and rapid delivery times, these merits were not enough to secure the contract. Analysts indicate that Canada's decision heavily prioritized strategic alliances over pure technological excellence. Selecting the German platform ensures full interoperability with NATO forces and effectively integrates Canadian industries into the broader European defense supply chain. This disappointing outcome serves as a stark reminder to Korea's defense sector that geopolitical alignments often outweigh technical superiority in the global arms market. Vocabulary. Setback. Noun. 차질, 실패. The project faced a major setback due to funding cuts. Lucrative. Adjective. 수익성이 좋은, 돈이 되는. She quit her job to start a highly lucrative consulting business. Renowned. Adjective. 유명한, 명성 있는. The city is renowned for its historical architecture. Exceptional. Adjective. 예외적인, 매우 뛰어난. The young musician showed exceptional talent on the piano. Priority. Noun. 우선순위. Prioritize. 우선시하다. Safety is our top priority in the workplace. Integrate. Verb. 통합하다. The school aims to integrate technology into everyday learning. Outcome. Noun. 결과. We are still waiting for the final outcome of the election. Alignment. Noun. 대휴, 정렬, 연대. The political alignment of the country shifted after the war. Outweigh. Verb. 뭐뭐보다 더 크다, 능가하다. The benefits of the surgery far outweigh the risks. Superiority. Noun. 우월성, 우수성. The army demonstrated its technological superiority on the battlefield. 시사용어 해설. Supply chain, 공급망. 제품을 생산하기 위해 부품을 조달하고 조립하여 최종 소비자에게 전달하기까지의 전체 네트워크입니다. 유럽과 캐나다가 같은 공급망을 공유하면 무기 정비나 부품 조달이 훨씬 쉬워집니다. Geopolitical alignment, 지정학적 연대. 지리적, 정치적 이해관계가 맞는 국가들끼리 무리를 지어 동맹을 맺거나 협력하는 것을 뜻합니다. 캐나다는 지리적, 정치적으로 가까운 서방, 나토 동맹인 독일을 챙긴 셈입니다.
4-3. Kospi tumbles as Samsung's record earnings fail to lift market. South Korea's main stock index, the Kospi, took a significant tumble despite Samsung Electronics reporting a spectacular, record-breaking earnings projection for the second quarter. The tech behemoth's stellar operating profit, driven by soaring global semiconductor demand, surprisingly failed to sustain bullish momentum in the broader market. Financial experts attribute this sharp decline to heavy profit-taking by institutional investors who capitalized on the recent rally. Furthermore, growing macroeconomic uncertainties and fatigue from rapid market ascents have made investors increasingly cautious. While the government has actively pledged to divert liquidity from the overheated real estate market into stocks, retail investors remain vulnerable to sudden and volatile market corrections. Vocabulary. Tumble. Verb. 폭락하다. 굴러떨어지다. The stock prices tumbled after the disappointing economic report. Spectacular. Adjective. 장관을 이루는. 눈부신. The fireworks display over the bridge was truly spectacular. Behemoth. Noun. 거대 기업. 거물.
Amazon has become an unstoppable behemoth in retail.
Momentum, noun, 추진력, 기세. The campaign gained momentum as the election day approached. Attribute, verb, 뭐뭐의 탓, 덕으로 돌리다. She attributes her success to hard work and determination. Institutional, adjective, 기관의, 제도의. Institutional investors heavily influence the stock market. Macroeconomic, adjective, 거시경제. High inflation is a major macroeconomic problem right now. Liquidity, noun, 유동성, 현금화 가능 자산. The central bank injected liquidity into the failing financial system. Volatile, adjective, 변동성이 큰, 불안정한. The cryptocurrency market is famously volatile. Correction, noun, 주식 조정, 교정. The recent drop in housing prices is a natural market correction. 시사용어 해설. Profit taking, 차익 실현. 주식이 많이 올랐을 때 그 주식을 팔아서 실제로 이익을 현금으로 챙기는 행위를 뜻합니다. 많은 사람들이 동시에 차익 실현을 하면 주가가 떨어지게 됩니다. Liquidity, 유동성. 시장에서 돈, 현금이 얼마나 풍부하게 돌고 있는지를 나타내는 경제 용어입니다. 유동성이 높다는 것은 시중에 투자할 돈이 많다는 뜻입니다. 5. The Korea Herald, 5-1. S. Korea, U.S. share need to stably manage coupon issue, Seoul envoy. South Korea and the United States have reached a mutual understanding to sustainably and stably manage the regulatory friction surrounding the U.S.-listed e-commerce giant Coupang Inc. Recently, a U.S. House Judiciary Committee report and White House officials openly criticized Seoul's intense regulatory probe into Coupang's massive data leak. They labeled the investigation a discriminatory and targeted attack against an American-owned business. South Korea's top envoy to Washington, Ambassador Kang Kyung-hwa, emphasized that both governments are committed to addressing the matter without burdening the vital bilateral alliance. Furthermore, Kang expressed diplomatic regret over the committee's report, noting it heavily reflected a one-sided perspective, while entirely failing to include factual information and context provided by the Korean government. Vocabulary. Sustainably, adverb, 지속 가능하게. We must use natural resources sustainably for future generations. Friction, noun, 마찰, 불화. The trade friction between the two countries led to new tariffs. Regulatory, adjective, 규제, 단속하는. The bank failed to comply with the new regulatory standards. Probe, noun, verb, 조사하다, 탐사. The police launched a probe into the mysterious disappearance. Discriminatory, adjective, 차별적인. The company was sued for its discriminatory hiring practices. Envoy, noun, 외교사절, 대사. The peace envoy traveled to the region to mediate the conflict. Bilateral, adjective, 양자간에, 쌍방에. The leaders signed a bilateral agreement to boost tourism. Perspective, noun, 관점, 시각. You need to look at the problem from a different perspective. Factual, adjective, 사실에 기반한. The news report was praised for being objective and factual. 시사용어 해설. E-commerce, 전자상거래. 인터넷을 통해 상품이나 서비스를 사고 파는 산업을 뜻합니다. 쿠팡, 네이버 쇼핑, 아마존 등이 대표적인 전자상거래 기업입니다. House Judiciary Committee, 미 하원 법사위원회. 미국 연방 하원 산하의 위원회 중 하나로 법무, 사법체계, 독점금지법 등 미국 법률과 관련된 강력한 권한을 가진 핵심 기관입니다. 5-2. South Korea, U.S., Japan reaffirm denuclearization on peninsula, deepen energy cooperation. Foreign ministers from South Korea, the United States, and Japan convened on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Ankara to reaffirm their unwavering commitment to the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. During the trilateral talks, the diplomats agreed to maintain tight coordination against North Korea's escalating illicit cyber activities and military provocations. Beyond traditional security issues, the three nations took a significant step by agreeing to deeply integrate their economic security and supply chain resilience.
Highlighted by the signing of a new memorandum of cooperation, they pledged to jointly accelerate the deployment of small modular reactors, SMRs, across the Indo-Pacific region. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio noted that this joint nuclear energy initiative would provide safe, efficient power while making their respective economies far stronger against external coercion. Vocabulary. Convene, verb. 회의 등을 소집하다, 모이다. The committee will convene tomorrow to discuss the new budget. Unwavering, adjective. 확고한, 흔들림 없는.
She showed unwavering dedication to her rigorous training. Denuclearization, noun, 비핵화. Denuclearization of the region remains the ultimate diplomatic goal. Trilateral, adjective, 삼자 간의, 삼국의. The leaders held a trilateral summit to address security threats. Illicit, adjective, 불법적인. The police cracked down on the illicit drug trade in the city. Resilience, noun, 회복력, 탄력성. Psychological resilience helps people bounce back from trauma. Accelerate, verb, 가속하다, 촉진하다. The new policy will accelerate the transition to renewable energy. Deployment, noun, 배치, 전개. The rapid deployment of medical supplies saved many lives. Coercion, noun, 강제, 강압. The suspect claimed he signed the confession under coercion. 시사 용어 해설, SMR, Small Modular Reactor, 소형 모듈 원자로. 기존의 거대한 원자력 발전소와 달리 공장에서 부품을 찍어내듯 모듈 형태로 만들어 현장에서 조립하는 작은 원전입니다. 건설 비용이 싸고 안전성이 높아 미래 에너지로 각광받고 있습니다. Trilateral, 삼자의. Tri, 삼, plus lateral, 측면, 방향의 합성어로 3개국이 참여하는 것을 뜻합니다. Bilateral, 양자 간의. Multilateral, 바자 간의. 5.3. Hong Kong's bookstore closes after 8 years. An iconic independent bookstore in Seoul, once personally run by Nobel Prize-winning author Han Kang, has permanently closed its doors after 8 years of operation. The small, intimate bookshop, located in the historic Seichon neighborhood, issued a heartfelt farewell notice to its loyal patrons on social media. Following Han's monumental Nobel win, public interest generated an overwhelming surge of visitors, forcing the tiny 3.3 square meter shop to temporarily suspend its daily operations just to manage the extreme crowds. Furthermore, publishing industry sources revealed that the surge in popularity caused property values in the surrounding area to skyrocket sharply. Ultimately, the building housing the bookstore was sold, forcing the beloved literary landmark to succumb to the pressures of rapid gentrification. Vocabulary. Independent. Adjective. 독립적인, 독립서점. She prefers buying coffee from local independent cafes. Intimate. Adjective. 아늑한, 친밀한. We had dinner at a small, intimate restaurant by the river. Heartfelt. Adjective. 진심 어린, 마음에서 우러난. He offered a heartfelt apology for his terrible mistake. Patron. Noun. 단골 고객, 후원자. The museum relies heavily on donations from wealthy patrons. Monumental. Adjective. 기념비적인, 엄청난. The moon landing was a monumental achievement for humanity. Overwhelming. Adjective. 압도적인, 저항하기 힘든. The support from the fans was truly overwhelming. Suspend. Verb. 일시 중지하다, 유보하다. The airline had to suspend all flights due to the hurricane. Skyrocket. Verb. 물가 등이 급등하다. Gas prices tend to skyrocket during major international crises. Succumb. Verb. 굴복하다, 무릎을 꿇다. He finally succumbed to the illness after a long battle. Gentrification. Noun. 통지 내몰림, 고급화. Gentrification is pushing low-income families out of the city center. 시사 유머 해설. Gentrification. 젠트리피케이션, 동지 내몰림. 낙후되었던 구도심이나 조용한 동네가 인기를 끌면서 임대료와 집값이 크게 오르고 그로 인해 원래 살던 원주민이나 작은 영세 상인들이 밀려나는 현상을 말합니다. Independent bookshop. 독립서점. 대형 프랜차이즈 서점 교보문고 등과 달리 주인의 취향대로 개성 있는 책을 골라 판매하는 소규모 동네 서점을 의미합니다. 6. CGTN 6-1. Chinese EVs debut in Canada under new trade agreement. Chinese manufactured electric vehicles, EVs, have officially debuted in the Canadian market following a groundbreaking trade initiative signed by the Canadian government. This new agreement permits China to export up to 49,000 EVs annually to Canada at a drastically reduced tariff rate of just 1%. Auto dealerships in regions like Ontario are already evaluating and preparing to sell models produced in China, including cars manufactured by Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory and the Geely-owned Lotus brand. Recent polls indicate a pragmatic mindset among consumers, showing that over half of Canadian car buyers would readily consider purchasing Chinese-made EVs, primarily prioritizing affordable pricing and reliable after-sales service. However, industry experts caution that heavily embracing Chinese imports might severely strain Canada's delicate trade relationship with the protectionist United States. Vocabulary. Groundbreaking. Adjective. 획기적인. The scientists published a groundbreaking study on genetic diseases. Initiative. Noun. 계획, 주도권. The mayor announced a new initiative to clean up the parks. Drastically. Adverb. 극적으로, 대폭. The cost of solar panels has drastically decreased over the years. Dealership. Noun. 자동차 대리점. My uncle works as a manager at a local car dealership. Evaluate. Verb. 평가하다. The teacher will evaluate the student's performance at the end of the term. Pragmatic. Adjective. 실용적인, 현실적인. We need to take a more pragmatic approach to fix this budget deficit. Prioritize. Verb. 우선순위를 매기다. You should prioritize getting enough sleep before the exam. Affordable. Adjective. 가격이 감당할 수 있는, 저렴한. The government is trying to build more affordable housing for young people. Strain. Verb. 긴장시키다, 무리를 주다. The extra workload began to severely strain his physical health. Protectionist. Adjective. 보호무역주의에. The new tariffs reflect a highly protectionist trade policy. 시사용어 해설. EV. Electric vehicle. 화석연료 대신 전기를 동력원으로 삼아 달리는 자동차, 전기차입니다. 배터리와 모터로 구동됩니다. Tariff, 관세. 외국에서 물건을 수입할 때 자국 산업 보호나 세수 확보를 위해 수입품에 매기는 세금입니다. 기사에서는 관세를 1%로 낮춰주어 수입 장벽이 크게 낮아졌음을 의미합니다. 6-2. Hamas dissolves governing body as post-war administration plan advances. Hamas has officially dissolved its governing body in the Gaza Strip, taking a monumental step that paves the way for a new, independent, technocratic committee to administer the territory. This significant political shift comes as a direct response to the requirements outlined in the October ceasefire agreement, which was carefully brokered by mediators from the United States, Egypt, and Qatar. A Hamas spokesperson emphasized that this bold move aims to pressure the Israeli occupation into allowing national relief and urgent reconstruction processes to finally begin in the devastated enclave. War-weary Palestinian residents, exhausted by 3 years of relentless conflict, cautiously welcomed the decision. However, they urged both Israel and international stakeholders to honor their commitments and prevent any dangerous security or administrative vacuum from forming. Vocabulary. Dissolve. Verb. 해산하다, 녹이다. The president decided to dissolve the parliament and call for new elections. Technocratic. Adjective. 기술 전문가 관료제. The country formed a technocratic government to fix the economic crisis. Administer. Verb. 관리하다, 통치하다. The UN sent a special team to administer the refugee camp. Broker. Verb. 중재하다, 성사시키다. The diplomat successfully brokered a peace deal between the two warring nations. Occupation. Noun. 점령, 직업. The military occupation of the territory lasted for several decades. Reconstruction. Noun. 재건, 복구. The reconstruction of the city after the earthquake will take years. Devastated. Adjective. 황폐화된, 엄청난 충격을 받은. The tsunami left the entire coastal village completely devastated. Enclave. Noun. 고립된 역토, 소수민족 거주지. The small enclave is completely surrounded by another country. Relentless. Adjective. 끈질긴, 가차없는. The team won the championship thanks to their relentless training. Vacuum. Noun. 공백, 징공. The abrupt resignation of the CEO left a massive leadership vacuum. 시사용어 해설. Technocratic, 테크노크라트, 전문관료회. 정치적 이념이나 당파성이 없는 과학자, 경제학자,
행정 전문가 등 전문 지식을 가진 관료들이 이끄는 통치 방식을 의미합니다. 정치색을 빼고 가자지구를 실무적으로 재건하겠다는 뜻입니다. 엔클레이브, 월경지, 고립 영토. 주변이 다른 나라의 영토로 완전히 둘러싸여 고립된 지역을 말합니다. 가자지구는 이스라엘과 바다로 둘러싸여 있어 종종 엔클레이브로 불립니다.
6.3. China honors pioneers of lithium batteries and radar technology. China has proudly awarded its highest national science and technology prize to two visionary scientists, lithium battery pioneer Chen Liquan and esteemed radar expert Ben Day. During a prestigious ceremony held in Beijing, the 86-year-old Chen was celebrated for his foundational research that catalyzed China's booming electric vehicle battery industry. Meanwhile, Ben Day was acclaimed as the founding father of China's airborne pulse Doppler radar technology, significantly advancing both defense and space-based surveillance capabilities. The high-profile event also honored over 250 other innovative projects, spanning natural sciences and technological inventions. Observers note that such grand recognition underscores Beijing's strategic determination to achieve absolute technological self-reliance amidst fierce global competition, particularly with the United States. Vocabulary. Visionary, adjective/noun, 선구적인, 예지력 있는 사람. Steve Jobs was a visionary leader in the tech industry. Pioneer, noun/verb, 개척자, 선구자. Marie Curie is famous as a pioneer in the study of radiation. Esteemed, adjective, 존경받는, 저명한. The esteemed professor delivered an inspiring lecture to the students. Prestigious, adjective, 인류의, 권위 있는. Harvard is one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Foundational, adjective, 기초적인, 토대가 되는. Learning the alphabet is a foundational skill for reading. Catalyze, verb, 촉진시키다, 촉매 역할을 하다. The new tax policy is expected to catalyze economic growth. Airborne, adjective, 비행 중인, 공중에 떠 있는. Airborne troops were deployed to secure the crucial bridge. Surveillance, noun, 감시, 감독. The bank is heavily protected by 24-hour video surveillance. Underscore, verb, 강조하다, 밑줄을 긋다. The recent floods underscore the urgent need to address climate change. Self-reliance, noun, 자립, 자기 의존. The training program aims to foster self-reliance among young adults. 시사 용어 해설. Lithium battery, 리튬 배터리, 스마트폰, 노트북, 그리고 전기차, EV에 필수적으로 들어가는 충전용 전지입니다. 에너지 밀도가 높아 가볍고 오래 쓸 수 있습니다. Technological self-reliance, 기술 자립. 외국, 특히 경쟁국의 핵심 부품이나 기술에 의존하지 않고 자국 내에서 독자적으로 기술을 개발하고 생산할 수 있는 능력을 말합니다. Number 7. NHK World Japan. Number 7. 1. Japan's Hayabusa 2 space probe flies by asteroid Torifune at close range. Japan's Hayabusa 2 space probe has successfully executed a remarkably close flyby of the near-Earth asteroid Torifune, skimming past the celestial body at a distance of just 800 meters. Traveling at a blistering relative speed of over 5 kilometers per second, the probe captured unprecedented, high-resolution images that revealed the asteroid's unique snowman-like shape. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, confirmed that the spacecraft continues to operate normally after completing this highly complex maneuver, approximately 100 million kilometers away from Earth. This daring extended mission was primarily designed to rigorously test precision navigation technologies essential for planetary defense. Having already traveled over 10 billion kilometers, Hayabusa 2 will now utilize its remaining fuel to rendezvous with a final microasteroid target in 2031. Vocabulary. Execute. Verb. 실행하다, 완수하다. The gymnast executed a flawless routine during the finals. Flyby. Noun. 근접비행. The probe's flyby of Jupiter provided scientists with vital data. Skim. Verb. 스쳐 지나가다, 훑어보다. The stone skimmed across the surface of the calm lake. Blistering. Adjective. 맹렬한, 몫이 빠른, 더운. He ran the race at a blistering pace and broke the record. Unprecedented. Adjective.
전례 없는. The pandemic caused unprecedented disruptions to global travel. Maneuver. Noun. 기동. 묘책. Parallel parking requires a careful driving maneuver. Precision. Noun. 정밀성. 정확도. The surgeon performed the delicate operation with absolute precision. Rendezvous. Noun. Verb. 만남. Rendezvous. 우주선 결합. The two spacecraft will rendezvous in Earth's orbit tomorrow. 시사용어 해설. Planetary defense. 지구 방위. 우주를 떠도는 소행성이나 혜성이 지구와 충돌하는 대재앙을 막기 위해 천체의 궤도를 변경하거나 정밀하게 추적하는 과학적 연구와 기술을 말합니다. Probe. 탐사선. 사람이 타지 않고 우주로 보내져 행성, 위성, 소행성 등의 데이터를 수집하여 지구로 보내는 무인 우주선을 뜻합니다.
7.2 Philippines, Canada to bolster security cooperation. The Philippines and Canada have formally agreed to significantly bolster their bilateral security and defense cooperation in the increasingly tense Asia-Pacific region. The strategic partnership aims to enhance joint capabilities in maritime security, cyber defense, and capacity building through regular joint military exercises. This strengthened alignment reflects Canada's broader Indo-Pacific strategy, which seeks to increase its geopolitical presence and support regional stability alongside democratic allies. For the Philippines, partnering with Canada provides crucial international backing amid escalating maritime disputes and aggressive territorial claims by Beijing in the South China Sea. Diplomatic experts view this pact as part of a wider effort by Western and Southeast Asian nations to form a united front against regional hegemony. Vocabulary. Bolster. Verb. 강화하다, 지지하다. The government introduced new policies to bolster the economy. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자간에. The two nations held bilateral talks to resolve the border dispute. Maritime. Adjective. 해양에, 바다에. The Navy is responsible for protecting the country's maritime borders. Alignment. Noun. 연대, 정렬. The new treaty demonstrates a strong political alignment between the allies. Presence. Noun. 존재감, 입지. The tech company is looking to expand its presence in the Asian market. Backing. Noun. 지원, 뒷받침. The startup received financial backing from a major venture capital firm. Escalate. Verb. 고조되다, 확대되다. The minor argument quickly escalated into a physical fight. Territorial. Adjective. 영토에. Both countries claim historical rights in the territorial dispute. Hegemony. Noun. 패권, 주도권. The ancient empire maintained cultural hegemony over the region for centuries. 시사용어 해설. Maritime security. 해양안보. 바다에서 일어나는 불법 조업, 해적 행위, 영유권 분쟁 등으로부터 자국의 바다와 해상 교통로를 안전하게 지키는 것을 뜻합니다. Hegemony. 패권. 특정 국가나 집단이 압도적인 군사력이나 경제력을 바탕으로 다른 국가들을 지배하거나 강력한 영향력을 행사하는 상태를 말합니다.
7.3 Impeachment trial of Philippine VP Duterte starts. The highly anticipated impeachment trial of Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte has officially commenced, sending shockwaves through the nation's political landscape. Lawmakers have levied severe accusations against Duterte, primarily focusing on the alleged misappropriation of millions in state confidential funds and abuse of power. The trial marks the definitive collapse of the powerful Uni-Team alliance that overwhelmingly brought both President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and VP Duterte to power in 2022. Supporters of the vice president dismissed the proceedings as a blatant political witch hunt, orchestrated to eliminate a formidable rival ahead of the next presidential elections. As the televised hearings unfold, observers warn that the intense political infighting could severely destabilize the government and spark widespread protests. Vocabulary. Impeachment. Noun. Tonic. The president faced impeachment over charges of bribery and corruption. Commence. Verb. 시작하다. The graduation ceremony will commence at exactly 10 a.m. Levy. Verb. 세금, 벌금, 비난 등을 부과하다, 가하다. The government decided to levy a heavy tax on imported luxury cars. Misappropriation. Noun. 횡령, 유용. The charity director was arrested for the misappropriation of donated funds. Definitive. Adjective. 확고한, 최종적인. We need a definitive answer by tomorrow morning. Blatant. Adjective. 노골적인, 뻔뻔스러운. His excuse was a blatant lie that nobody believed. Orchestrate. Verb. 은밀히 조작하다, 조직하다. The rebel leader carefully orchestrated the surprise attack. Formidable. Adjective. 가공할, 만만찮은. The opposing team is a formidable opponent with an undefeated record. Infighting. Noun. 내분, 내부 다툼. The political party is suffering from severe internal infighting. Destabilize. Verb. 불안정하게 만들다. A sudden drop in currency value can destabilize the entire economy. 시사 용어 해설. Impeachment. 탄핵. 대통령, 부통령, 법관 등 고위 공직자가 직무를 수행하면서 헌법이나 법률을 심각하게 위반했을 때 의회가 그 사람을 자리에서 쫓아내는 법적 절차입니다. Confidential funds. 기밀 유지비, 특수활동비. 정부나 기관이 수사나 국가 안보 등을 위해 사용할 때 영수증 처리를 엄격하게 하지 않아도 되는 예산입니다. 횡령의 소지가 많아 종종 정치적 논란이 됩니다.
8. AlJazeera.com. 8.1. U.S. moves to delist Syria as a state sponsor of terrorism. The United States has boldly announced its intention to remove Syria from its notorious list of state sponsors of terrorism, stripping away a decades-old designation that severely hindered the nation's economic recovery. The decision marks a significant vote of confidence in Syria's new president, Ahmed al-Sharaa, who recently transitioned from a rebel leader to head of state. During a high-profile meeting in Ankara, U.S. President Donald Trump praised al-Sharaa's unbelievable job in unifying the war-torn country. U.S. officials stated that the delisting follows formal and strict assurances from Damascus that it will permanently cease supporting international terrorism. Once Syria is officially removed from the blacklist, only 3 nations, Iran, North Korea, and Cuba, will remain under this paralyzing U.S. diplomatic and economic sanction. Vocabulary. Notorious. Adjective. 악명 높은. The hacker is notorious for stealing millions from online banks. Designation. Noun. 지정, 지명. The building received an official designation as a historical landmark. Severely. Adverb. 심각하게, 엄격하게. The local agriculture was severely damaged by the sudden drought. Hinder. Verb. 방해하다, 저해하다. The lack of funds will greatly hinder the progress of the research. Transition. Verb, noun. 전환하다, 변천. The company is trying to transition from coal to green energy sources. War-torn. Adjective. 전쟁으로 짓밟힌. NGOs are delivering food to children in the war-torn region. Assurance. Noun. 확약, 보장. The manager gave me his assurance that the broken pipe would be fixed. Cease. Verb. 중단하다, 멈추다. The factory was ordered to cease operations immediately due to pollution. Paralyze. Verb. 마비시키다. A major cyber attack could paralyze the city's power grid. Sanction. Noun. 제재, 처벌. The UN decided to lift the harsh economic sanction on the country. 시사용어 해설. State sponsor of terrorism. 테러 지원국. 국제 테러 활동을 지속적으로 지원한다고 미국 국무부가 판단하여 지정하는 국가들의 명단입니다. 지정되면 무기 수출입이 전면 금지되고 국제 금융망 접속이 차단되어 나라 경제가 심각한 타격을 받습니다. delist. 명단 제외. D. 제거하다. 플러스 list. 목록의 합성어로 블랙리스트나 주식시장 상장 명단 등 특정 리스트에서 이름을 지워 규제를 풀어주는 것을 뜻합니다. 8-2. Search underway for crew of Pakistani cargo plane that crashed into sea. A frantic search and rescue operation is currently underway off the coast of Pakistan after a commercial cargo plane tragically crashed into the Arabian Sea. The K2 Airways Boeing 737 aircraft completely disappeared from radar displays while attempting its final approach to Karachi. Following intensive searching, Pakistani Navy and civilian rescue teams successfully located the submerged wreckage of the plane approximately 53 nautical miles south of the Ormara port. Authorities are now focusing all available maritime resources on a desperate and urgent effort to find the 5 missing crew members who were on board the flight. Aviation experts have yet to determine what caused the sudden catastrophic failure of the aircraft mid-flight. Vocabulary: frantic, adjective, 필사적인, 제정신이 아닌. The parents made a frantic search for their missing child. Cargo, noun, 화물. The enormous ship was carrying a cargo of imported cars. Approach, noun, verb, 접근, 접근하다. The airplane lowered its landing gear during its final approach. Intensive, adjective, 집중적인, 집약적인. The patient required intensive care after the major surgery. Locate, verb, 위치를 찾아내다. The rescue team used GPS to precisely locate the stranded hikers. Submerged, adjective, 물속에 잠긴. The divers explored the submerged ruins of the ancient city. Wreckage, noun, 잔해, 파편. Investigators sifted through the wreckage to find the plane's black box. Maritime, adjective, 해양에, 바다에. The country relies heavily on maritime trade for its economy. Catastrophic, adjective, 비극적인, 대재앙에. The failure of the dam could lead to catastrophic flooding. 시사 용어 해설. radar, 레이더. 전파를 발사하여 그 전파가 물체에 부딪혀 되돌아오는 것을 수신해 비행기나 배의 위치, 방향, 속도 등을 알아내는 무선 감시 장치입니다. 비행기가 레이더에서 사라졌다는 것은 관제탑과의 통신이 끊기고 비정상적인 추락이 발생했음을 의미합니다. 8.3. Mapping Iran's Ali Khamenei funeral, where mourners will gather. A grand 7-day funeral procession is currently underway across Iran and Iraq to honor Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was recently killed in a joint U.S.-Israeli strike. The elaborate ceremonies began with massive public farewells at the Grand Musalla in Tehran, drawing immense crowds of mourners dressed in black. The late leader's coffin will then be transported to Iraq for sacred religious rites in the holy Shia cities of Najaf and Karbala, locations of profound spiritual significance. The extensive funeral program will ultimately conclude with a final burial ceremony on Thursday in the holy city of Mashhad, Khamenei's birthplace. The Iranian government has officially declared the burial day a national day of mourning amid soaring regional tensions and anti-American sentiment. Vocabulary: procession, noun, 행렬, 행진. A long funeral procession moved slowly down the main street. Late, adjective, 고, 최근에 죽은. The painting was donated by the late artist's family. Elaborate, adjective, 정교한, 공들인. The chef prepared an elaborate dinner for the special guests. Immense, adjective, 엄청난, 거대한. The project requires an immense amount of time and money. Mourner, noun, 조문객, 애도자. Hundreds of silent mourners gathered outside the church. Sacred, adjective, 신성한, 성스러운. The temple is considered a sacred place by the local community. Profound, adjective, 깊은, 심오한. The philosopher's book had a profound influence on my thinking. Significance, noun, 의미, 중요성. The discovery is of great historical significance to the region. Mourning, noun, 애도, 상복. The nation observed a 3-day period of official mourning. Sentiment, noun, 정서, 감정. Anti-war sentiment is growing rapidly among the younger generation. 시사용어 해설. Supreme leader, 최고 지도자. 이란의 정치 체제에서 대통령보다 더 높은 절대적인 권력을 가진 종교 지도자이자 국가 원수입니다.
군대 통수권과 주요 정책 결정권을 모두 쥐고 있습니다. 시아파. 이슬람교의 두 주요 분파, 수니파, 시아파 중 하나입니다. 이란은 시아파 이슬람 국가의 종주국 역할을 하며 이라크 남부에도 시아파 성지들이 집중되어 있습니다.
9. CBC Canada. 9-1. Prime Minister Mark Carney endorsed the latest U.S. strikes on Iran. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney publicly endorsed the latest series of U.S. military strikes against Iran, classifying them as a justified and proportionate response to repeated ceasefire violations. Carney articulated his strong support while arriving at the NATO summit in Ankara, an event clouded by deep friction between the U.S. and its European allies. The endorsement followed harsh remarks from U.S. President Donald Trump, who accused NATO members of abandoning Washington in its confrontation with Tehran. While mostly aligning behind the swift U.S. tactical action, Western leaders are desperately seeking ways to contain the internal alliance rift. Simultaneously, they are aggressively urging de-escalation of hostilities and the strict preservation of freedom of navigation in the economically critical Gulf region. Vocabulary. Endorse. Verb. 공개적으로 지지하다. The major newspaper decided to endorse the opposition candidate. Classify. Verb. 분류하다, 규정하다. Biologists classify whales as mammals, not fish. Proportionate. Adjective. 비례하는, 상응하는. The punishment must be proportionate to the severity of the crime. Articulate. Verb. 분명히 표현하다. She articulated her vision for the company's future very clearly. Friction. Noun. 마찰, 충돌. The trade friction between the two superpowers is worsening. Abandon. Verb. 버리다, 포기하다. The soldiers were forced to abandon the burning building. Confrontation. Noun. 대결, 대치. The protest ended in a violent confrontation with the police. Contain. Verb. 억제하다, 포함하다. The firefighters tried hard to contain the spreading forest fire. De-escalation. Noun. 단계적 축소, 완화. Diplomacy is the only effective tool for the de-escalation of this war. Hostilities. Noun. 족대감, 족대행위. The peace treaty aims to bring a permanent end to hostilities. 시사용어 해설. Endorse. 지지하다. 정치인이나 유명 인사가 특정 행동, 정책 또는 후보자를 긍정적으로 생각하며 지지한다고 공식적으로 선언하는 것을 의미합니다. De-escalation. 완화, 단계적 축소. 군사적 긴장이나 폭력이 눈덩이처럼 커지는 것, escalation을 반대로 가라앉히고 시키는 외교적, 군사적 노력을 뜻합니다. 9-2. Israel's yellow line in Gaza is moving, expanding IDF's control. A meticulous visual investigation conducted by CBC News has revealed that the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, are quietly shifting the boundary markers further into the Gaza Strip. Satellite imagery confirms that the yellow line, demarcated by large yellow concrete blocks, has been moved by more than a kilometer into Palestinian territory since the initial ceasefire. During this unauthorized expansion, numerous civilian properties, including homes and agricultural fields, have been systematically bulldozed and destroyed. Security analysts warn that this encroaching boundary effectively creates a de facto kill zone, where anyone approaching is considered a lethal threat and fired upon. This creeping annexation severely undermines fragile peace efforts and sparks profound outrage from international human rights organizations monitoring the conflict. Vocabulary. Meticulous. Adjective. 꼼꼼한, 세심한. The detective conducted a meticulous search of the crime scene. Demarcate. Verb. 경계를 정하다. A tall wire fence is used to demarcate the property line. Unauthorized. Adjective. 승인되지 않은, 불법의. Unauthorized access to the computer server is strictly prohibited. Systematically. Adverb. 체계적으로. The old buildings were systematically demolished to make way for the mall. Encroach. Verb. 남의 권리, 영토를 침해하다. The growing desert continues to encroach upon the farming land. De facto. Adjective. 사실상의, 실질적인. English is the de facto international language of business. Lethal. Adjective. 치명적인, 죽음을 초래하는.
The snake's venom is highly lethal to small animals. Creeping. Adjective. 서서히 진행되는. The economy is suffering from a slow, creeping inflation. Annexation. Noun. 합병, 병합. The illegal annexation of the territory was condemned by the UN. Outrage. Noun. 분노, 격분. The corrupt politician's remarks sparked public outrage. 시사용어 해설. IDF. Israel Defense Forces. 이스라엘 방위군의 영문 약자입니다. 중동 관련 뉴스에서 이스라엘 군대를 지칭할 때 항상 쓰이는 표현입니다. 킬존, 사살구역. 군사용어로 적이 들어왔을 때 집중 사격을 퍼부어 확실히 섬멸하기 위해 설정해 놓은 특정 구역을 뜻합니다. 여기서는 민간인이라도 경계를 넘으면 즉시 사격의 표적이 됨을 비판하는 의미로 쓰였습니다.
9-3. Firefighting crews are continuing to tackle several wildfires burning across Labrador. Dedicated firefighting crews are currently battling against time to extinguish multiple severe wildfires burning rapidly across the region of Labrador. Dry and hot weather conditions have dangerously accelerated the spread of the flames, consuming vast tracts of dense forest. Beyond the immediate threat of the fires, thick, toxic smoke has blanketed neighboring towns, prompting severe air quality warnings for a vast portion of the area. Local medical officers strongly advise residents to stay indoors, close their windows, and be adequately prepared to protect their respiratory health from the hazardous haze. In addition to human impact, animal-loving volunteers are actively working to care for pets that were heartbreakingly left behind during urgent community evacuations. Vocabulary. Dedicated. Adjective. 헌신적인, 전념하는. The dedicated nurses worked double shifts to care for the patients. Extinguish. Verb. 불을 끄다. It took the firefighters 3 hours to extinguish the blaze. Accelerate. Verb. 가속화하다. High winds can accelerate the spread of a forest fire. Tract. Noun. 넓은 지역, 지대. They bought a large tract of land to build a new factory. Blanket. Verb. 뒤덮다. Heavy snow will blanket the entire mountain by tomorrow morning. Adequately. Adverb. 적절히, 충분히. Make sure you are adequately dressed for the freezing weather. Respiratory. Adjective. 호흡기. Smoking significantly increases the risk of respiratory diseases. Hazardous. Adjective. 위험한. Workers must wear masks when handling hazardous chemicals. Evacuation. Noun. 대피, 피난. The sudden flood forced the immediate evacuation of the town. Air quality warning, 대기질 경보. 산불 연기나 미세먼지 등으로 인해 공기의 오염도가 사람의 건강을 해칠 수준에 도달했을 때 정부나 기상청이 발령하는 경고입니다. Evacuation, 대피. 위험한 장소에서 안전한 곳으로 사람들을 이동시키는 행위를 말합니다. 캐나다나 미국 등 땅이 넓은 곳에서는 산불이 나면 도시 전체의 대피령, Evacuation Order가 내려지기도 합니다. 10. DD India. India Media. 10.1. PM Modi meets Australian PM Albanese in Melbourne. Trade, defense, critical tech on agenda. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi engaged in a highly anticipated bilateral meeting with his Australian counterpart, Anthony Albanese, during his official visit to Melbourne. The summit's extensive agenda focused deeply on strengthening cooperation across multiple pivotal sectors, notably encompassing bilateral trade, robust defense, and comprehensive maritime security. Importantly, both leaders paid special attention to advancing collaborative efforts in critical and emerging technologies, recognizing their vital role in shaping future economic growth. The meeting vividly underscores a shared, unwavering commitment to maintaining a free, open, and stable Indo-Pacific region amid shifting global power dynamics. Prime Modi also received a famously rousing welcome from the massive Indian diaspora residing in Australia, highlighting enduring people-to-people ties. Vocabulary. Anticipated. Adjective. 고대하던, 예상된. The movie release was highly anticipated by fans worldwide. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자 간의. The two presidents signed a bilateral trade agreement. Counterpart. Noun. 대응 관계에 있는 사람, 상대방. The minister discussed the issue with his French counterpart. Pivotal. Adjective. 중추적인, 핵심적인. Education plays a pivotal role in personal development. Encompass. Verb. 포함하다, 아우르다. The festival will encompass a wide range of musical genres. Robust.
Adjective. 탄탄한, 굳건한. The country has established a robust legal framework. Emerging. Adjective. 신흥이, 떠오르는. Investors are paying attention to emerging markets in Asia. Dynamic. Noun. 역학, 원동력. The social dynamics of the classroom changed completely. Rousing. Adjective. 열렬한, 환호하는. The politician received a rousing applause after her speech. Diaspora. Noun. diaspora, 해외 교민. The cultural festival was organized by the local Korean diaspora. 시사용어 해설. Critical technologies. 핵심, 신흥기술. 인공지능, AI, 양자 컴퓨팅, 차세대 반도체 등 국가 안보와 경제의 미래를 좌우할 만큼 중요하게 다뤄지는 최첨단 과학기술을 말합니다. 인도태평양, 인도양. 인도양과 태평양을 아우르는 지역을 뜻하며 최근 미국, 인도, 호주, 일본 등이 중국의 부상에 대응하여 정치적, 경제적으로 연대할 때 자주 사용하는 지정학적 개념입니다.
Number 10. 2. India to host BRICS Women Ministerial Meeting in Kochi on July 8th and 9th. Under its 2026 chairship, India is proudly hosting the BRICS Women Ministerial Meeting in the coastal city of Kochi on July 8th and 9th. This significant gathering brings together government ministers and prominent delegation heads from all BRICS member countries to strategically strengthen cooperation on women's empowerment. The highly structured agenda focuses on expanding economic opportunities, advancing women's leadership, and ensuring equitable digital and financial inclusion across developing nations. Emphasizing a humanity-first approach, the discussions seek to accelerate tangible progress toward global gender equality and sustainable development. Additionally, the event features diverse exhibitions highlighting India's domestic achievements in women-led initiatives across vital sectors like STEM, rural development, and nutrition. Vocabulary. Coastal. Adjective. 해안이, 연안이. The coastal city is famous for its beautiful beaches. Prominent. Adjective. 조명한, 중요한. She is a prominent leader in the fight against climate change. Empowerment. Noun. 권한부여, 역량 강화. Education is a key tool for women's empowerment. Structured. Adjective. 체계적으로 구성된. The course offers a highly structured approach to learning French. Equitable. Adjective. 공평한, 공정한. We must ensure equitable distribution of wealth in society. Inclusion. Noun. 포용, 포함. Financial inclusion means giving everyone access to banking services. Tangible. Adjective. 가시적인, 실질적인. The team needs to show tangible results by the end of the year. Sustainable. Adjective. 지속 가능한. We need to adopt sustainable farming practices to protect the soil. Initiative. Noun. 계획, 주도권. The local government launched a new recycling initiative. Vital. Adjective. 필수적인, 생명과 관련된. Water is vital for the survival of all living creatures. 시사용어 해설. BRICS, 브릭스. 브라질, Brazil. Russia, Russia. 인도, India. 중국, China. 남아프리카 공화국, South Africa. 등 신흥 경제대국들이 모인 국제협의체입니다. 최근 여러 국가들이 가입하며 세력을 키우고 있습니다. Financial inclusion. 금융 포용성. 가난한 사람들이나 농촌 지역 거주자 등 금융 소외계층도 은행 계좌를 만들고 대출을 받거나 결제 서비스를 쉽게 이용할 수 있도록 시스템을 구축하는 것을 의미합니다. 10.3. DRDO successfully flight tests Pinaka long-range guided rocket. India's Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, has achieved a major milestone by successfully flight testing the highly advanced Pinaka long-range guided rocket, LRGR. The critical test was meticulously conducted at the Integrated Test Range in Chandipur, located on the coast of Odisha. During the trial, the formidable weapon system flawlessly validated its performance and pinpoint accuracy at a user-defined minimum range of 60 kilometers. The upgraded Pinaka system boasts significantly enhanced range and devastating strike capabilities compared to its previous iterations. Defense analysts view this successful launch as a massive boost to India's ambitious Make in India initiative, which aims to achieve total self-reliance in cutting-edge military manufacturing. Vocabulary. Milestone. Noun. 이정표, 획기적 사건.
Graduating from university was a major milestone in her life. Meticulously. Adverb. 꼼꼼하게, 세심하게. The detective meticulously examined the crime scene for clues. Formidable. Adjective. 가공할, 어마어마한. The enemy army presented a formidable challenge to the defenders. Flawlessly. Adverb. 흠없이, 완벽하게. She performed the difficult piano sonata flawlessly. Validate. Verb. 입증하다, 검증하다. The scientists conducted experiments to validate their theory. Pinpoint. Adjective. Verb. 아주 정확한, 정확히 찾아내다. The sniper showed pinpoint accuracy, hitting the distant target. Boast. Verb. 자랑하다, 뽐내다. The newly built hotel boasts a spectacular view of the ocean. Devastating. Adjective. 파괴적인, 치명적인. The hurricane had a devastating impact on the coastal towns. Iteration. Noun. 소프트웨어 제품 등의 반복, 버종. The latest iteration of the app includes many new features. Self-reliance. Noun. 자립, 자급자족. The government's new policy aims to promote national self-reliance. 시사용어 해설. DRDO, 국방연구개발기구. 인도의 첨단 무기와 국방기술을 연구하고 개발하는 핵심 국가기관입니다. 한국의 국방과학연구소 ADD와 비슷한 역할을 합니다. Guided rocket, 유도로켓. 발사된 후 날아가는 도중의 방향을 수정하여 목표물을 정확하게 맞출 수 있도록 유도장치, GPS 등과 장착된 미사일 형태의 로켓입니다.